Engine start. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and lift off. The final lift off of Atlantis on the shoulders of the space shuttle. America will continue the dream.
On July 8, 2011, at 11:29 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Space Shuttle Atlantis mission STS-135 launched for the last time in the history of NASA's 30-year-long space shuttle program. This is due to the 2009 budget deliberation. Former President Barack Obama released the 2011 budget, canceling the $9 billion five-year Constellation program, impacting all of NASA's future space exploration plans. Good morning. My name is Brendan Davis, and today I'll be speaking about why the reinvigoration of the NASA space exploration program positively impacts the United States. Despite pleas from Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon, and Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, former President Barack Obama still canceled NASA's Constellation space exploration programs. Fast forward to 2017, President Donald Trump released his fiscal year 2017 spending bill, which allots NASA with $19.65 billion. The NASA's 2017 budget request for science allows NASA $5,601 million, which supports 5 areas of science, including earth science, which would improve climate modeling, weather prediction, and natural hazard mitigation through Earth observation from space. It also includes planetary science to explore planetary bodies of our solar system. Included is funding for a mission to Jupiter's moon Europa and continued operations of Exploring Mars Express missions and for the next New Frontiers mission. The White House Space Policy Directive 1 was signed on December 11, 2017 by current President Donald Trump for the U.S. to send humans back to the moon and fuel space exploration of Mars. Trump emphasizes his policy in a statement to NASA to lead an innovative and sustainable program of exploration with commercial and international partners to enable human expansion across the solar system and to bring back to Earth new knowledge and opportunities. It marks the first step in returning American astronauts to the moon for the first time since 1972 for long-term exploration and use. This time, we will not only plant our flag and leave our footprints, we will establish a foundation for an eventual mission to Mars, perhaps someday to many worlds beyond. Prior to the eradication of the space program, 11 different missions were executed to find information about Mars, such as the Mars Global Survey, which provided NASA with details about the entire Martian surface, atmosphere, and interior. The future missions regarding Mars, such as the ExoMars rover, which is a part of a series of missions designed to understand if life ever existed on Mars, according to NASA in the article Mars Exploration Program, were made possible due to reigniting the NASA Space Exploration Program. The newly approved funding will enable NASA to continue efforts in maintaining the lead in the Global Space Agency. The Global Space Agency is made up of 72 countries with current space programs, but mainly focus on what's considered the Big Six, which are countries who are largest and have a vested interest in expanded space explorations. Those countries include the United States, NASA, China, the CNSA, Europe, ESA, which is a consortium of several European countries, India, the ISRO, Japan, JAXA, and Russia, the Roscosmos. According to Nicholas Nelson, an advocate for human space exploration. Nelson continues to describe the Big Six as countries whose space program is defined by manufacturing their own satellites, providing launch services, and having achieved human spaceflight, or interplanetary robotic science missions, or both. NASA also has the first and only humans to have landed on the moon, and NASA probes hold records for the first on many planets to include Pluto. Fortunately, the U.S. leads this global community for their mission planning and drives to always find the latest technology. Hopefully, NASA will continue to maintain many more firsts globally. Of the many contributions provided over the decades, the Technology Transfer Program is one of the most impactful on Earth. Originating from the Eisenhower administration, the 1958 Space Act Directive, or otherwise known as the National Aeronautics Space Act, was passed as a result of President Eisenhower's request from Congress to form an agency for civilian control of aeronautics activities and technologies that were non-military. This required NASA to assess all innovations in technology, their potential for commercialization and patents. Over the years, the technologies have been accessible through a catalog portfolio, and thousands of technologies such as software have been released to industry for licensing and available agreements for use. The modern world is filled with network-connected electronic sensors, but most of the data they produce are invisible to us, according to Gershon. NASA had a large impact on patenting such. A central repository is accessible by the public-to-access software and the agency's code, which has been publicly released. Additionally, inventions such as robotics to energy-saving innovations can be easily accessed on NASA's website. The main problem in this case is that the United States is losing its influence in space exploration globally, allowing other countries and private companies to fill in NASA's gap. The solution to this problem would be to increase national interest in NASA. However, gaining support of people not interested in science or this field of work would be very difficult. In addition, the best solution would be to increase national spending on NASA, as it would increase the amount of exploration and would set forth the United States in front of other dominant space exploration countries. However, with increased spending comes a decrease in funds in another portion of our government, causing a rise of conflict throughout the nation. As Chris Ferguson, the commander of the STS-135 mission, comments from the cockpit of the Atlantis just prior to takeoff, "We're completing a chapter of a journey that will never end. Let's light this fire one more time and witness this great nation at its best." Thank you. What questions do you have?
Thank you. I do have two questions for you. What information did you need before you began to research? And then how did you go about getting, and then how did that information shape your presentation?
Well, first of all, I need to know that NASA was previously shut down by the Obama administration, and I need to figure out pretty much whether or not it was a positive impact for Donald Trump to actually reinstall the NASA space exploration program.
Okay, and then what advice would you have for people researching this topic in the future?
I would say NASA definitely has a lot of information on their website, and of course it's straight from NASA, so it's very valid, and yeah.
Thank you.